I thought I'd do another maintenance video on the farm, and this time we're going to do a job on a 2007 6930 tractor. And what are we going to do is we're going to replace these rubbers on the ball joints, because these have all perished and they've got big holes in. You can see it's got a hole in the rubber, and these ones are the same, but I've wrapped insulating tape around here temporary while we're working it. That's why it's like that. And all four need replacing. So what I've got to do is get this ball joint out, unthread this, obviously count the threads or measure the threads and get back and put a new rubbers on. Let's see how we go. Right, now under the tractor, and I've got to undo this big nut here, but before I can get a socket on there, I've got to undo this bolt, and this bolt is the stop bolt for the steering. So when you steer in the other direction, it comes back against here. From here to here, shoulder, is 60 mil, so I can undo it and screw it back in at 60 mil, and that'll be all right. And then I can get a socket on here. And one thing I would point out is this 6930 is a European made tractor, so all the threads on it are metric. So this is 16 mil and it's got a 24 mil head, and this has got a 41 mil nut on it, which I didn't have, so I've had to buy a 41 mil socket to get on there. So hopefully that'll be all right. Let's see how we get on. Right, I've got two spanners on there, and I'm just going to break the lock nut first, and I've got to use two hands for that. Right, I'm just taking this bolt out now. Now, before I undo the big nut underneath here, I've got to loosen this nut here. I did think in my head that that was all one piece, but I've just looked on the electronic parts catalogue, and the nut is actually a separate nut. It's just the paint covering the joint, so it doesn't look separate. So now I've got to undo that. Best to undo that nut before I get this ball joint out, because otherwise I won't be able to get any purchase on it. So let's see if I can undo that. I've moved on. I've managed to find a spanner to fit on this hexagon there. And so my spanner's an AF because I'm short of metric spanners, and I've got a adjustable tight on there, and I've got it as tight as I can do it, because I don't like adjustables. They tend to round things off, but it won't go on adjustable. So now I've got to put a piece of pipe on the adjustable to get a bit more leverage on it, and hopefully I can move the nut. I've just got to do this two hands. Well, it's about a half hour later, and I really struggled cracking this nut, but I managed to get it in the end. I actually got the adjustable spanner on the tight by tapping the jaw with a hammer gently while I tightened it up, and then I put like a 5-foot scaffold pole on it, and it had no choice but to come undone. Anyway, so there's the nut. There's the nut loose on the thread. I took a photo of the threads earlier, so I know how many threads it is from the end, but I'm going to leave the nut there. Well, I'm going to have to take the nut off to do this one, so I'm not going to take it back anymore because I don't want to disturb the paint. Well, now on to the big ball joint nut. I've got my 41 mil, brand new 41 mils hexagon socket, which needs to go on there nice. A 3/4 drive and a nice long pole. So let's hope for the best. I've now cracked that nut, so that big nut's coming undone. what I don't want now to do is to undo this nut and the ball joint itself to start swiveling, because there doesn't seem to be any flats on the shaft here. So if the ball joint starts swiveling, we may have to split the nut or something like that, or go down a different route, or somehow clamp the shaft. But once the locking nut gets past the thread, it's really job done. Let's see how we go. Well, I'm now undoing the nut with a smaller ratchet, and it seems to be coming undone. It's coming off the end of the thread. I just want to get it so the nylon is off the end of the thread. So I want to get it finger tight. It's getting looser. Right, that's loose by hand now. So now I've got to get this ball joint out. And it's quite a big ball joint, and the traditional way of getting the ball joint out is to whack this bit with a hammer. So you're deforming this bit of metal for a fraction of a second, and you put a jack under here, and if you deform this bit of metal for a fraction of a second, it'll break the taper lock and it'll pop up. And I might end up doing that. I might end up taking the wheel off to get a jack on, because I don't really want to take the wheel off, because that's a lot more work. So I notice the end here has a depression in it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my workshop puller. I'm going to put my puller on here, jaws on here, and tighten the puller up and see if she'll pop up. Let's see what happens. Right, now I've fixed my puller on the on the tractor to remove the ball joint. So it's a hydraulic puller, so it's something like 6 times the force or something like that what you put on here. So now I do this up and see what happens. I just hope it doesn't fly off in my face. I've had the puller quite a few years, and it's doesn't quite got the bite it did have when it was new. Probably wants some new seals in it. So it had more movement in it when it was new on the hydraulic thing. No, it's just coming now. Is it going to come? Not coming yet. Maybe I'll have to bang it. Maybe I'll have to hit it with a hammer. Well, that's quite tight on there now. It doesn't want to come. Alright, quite tight. Right. Time to put her up tight. I think I'm going to have to hit the side of the metal and see what happens. Anyway, I've managed to break the ball joint. I did the puller up as tight as I could do it. Hit this with a hammer lots of times. I even hit it. I hit it with a ball pin hammer. I hit it with a club hammer. I hit it with a sledgehammer. Nothing happened. I tightened the puller a little bit more, and I'm just standing here thinking about what to do next, and it suddenly popped out and the puller fell off. Unbelievable. Right, now I've got the ball joint out. This is the taper bit. That's what locks it in, and I can't turn it fully anti-clockwise to get it out. It won't turn, it's obstructed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the tractor up and start the tractor up, put this round back in, and then it should be able to turn it in. Well, I've started the tractor up and moved the ram, so we've got the funniest looking tractor now. And I think I can undo it now. I can undo and take the ball joint off. What I'm going to do is count the number of turns. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, about 41 I'd say. I come into the workshop to the vise and the bench. Thought I'd do the outer ball joint first. So it should just put the outer ball joint is held on with a spring clip, which you've got to prise apart. It's a bit like a key ring, I'd say. I come across them before on cars. I had an old Mercedes and that had a similar sort of clip on the bottom ball joint of suspension. Not so big though. So what I'm doing is gradually prising the clip off and keep going round and round with a screwdriver. It should all suddenly come off. Obviously, when I put the new rubber back on, I've got to be more careful. Otherwise, I put the screwdriver through the rubber. I've now got the rubber gaiter off the ball joint, and it looks as though some dirt has got one in the ball joint. So doesn't be any lubricant in it at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash it off with some clean kerosene, and then put some fresh grease in there, put a new rubber in, and hope for the best, because we are where we are. And probably the next time, you probably want a new ball joint, and there'll be more money. I've now cleaned it all out with some kerosene and a clean rag. And what I'm going to do, I just introduce a bit of grease onto the actual ball itself, then I pack some more in there. I'm not going to overdo it, because otherwise when I put the new rubber gaiter on, and I had to put the other clip over the top, the grease will all ooze out. So I'll see how I work out. So I'm just going to put some round on the ball joint. Try and get it in there. I was tempted to drill a hole in the top and put a grease nipple in it, but I think I'll get more dirt in it that way, I think. So that's got grease. And I've got grease nicely in the ball there now. It seems to move a lot easier. It's not loose at all. Right, so now I'm going to pack some more grease in there. I've managed to get a new rubber gaiter on there. I sort of pushed it on and used a twisting motion to get it up on in its groove. So now I've got to put the new well, I've taken the other rubber gaiter off on the ram side, and it only had a little hole in it there, so there was actually some grease in this one and a little bit of dirt, so I cleaned it all out anyway. And so I think I'll pack some grease on. I might put a bit of tape over here before I put the seal on, so it doesn't tear the rubber when I put it up the thread. That might be an idea. I might find some tape. I've just started the tractor up and got it lined up, put it down in there. I put a block of wood on top, banged it down, tape it down in tight, so now it's in there. So all I've got to do is put the nut on. And one thing I did do before I put the taper in, I wiped the taper off with some meths, because I didn't want any grease on the taper, because I want it to lock in a nice and solid so it doesn't go round when I do the lock nut up. So hopefully it should be plain sailing. Well, I'm now under the tractor again and I'm doing the other side, and I'm about to pull the ball joint off. And what I've done this time, I wrapped a load strap round the puller, so the jaws can't pull off, make it a bit more safer and more secure. So we're going to give it a full welly and see what happens. Well, there we are, job done. I've now completed putting the rubber gaiters on. You can see them here, and over the other side. And I think a couple of things I would do differently if I did it again. Firstly, I would put a centre punch mark on this hexagon, because this hexagon can turn in relation to this ball. So I'd put a centre punch mark at the top and take a picture of it so you know where that was. And the other thing is, when you cut this nut, I wouldn't put the spanner on there. I'd put it on the flats on here, because I've nearly rounded it off the other side, but this side I did put it on the flat and it worked a lot better. So that's about it for now. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to press press the like button and press the subscribe button. Bye.